Novo guitars are flying off the shelf. They sell quicker than anything else we get in stock, and in today's episode we're going to be investigating why that's the case. So sit back and relax and let's get straight into this Squealing Pig Guitars video. Hello guitarists, welcome back to Squealing Pig Guitars, the home of luxury shop machines here in Nottingham, England. Here at Squealing Pig Guitars, our main mission is to find the best guitars in the world. We're going to be answering the question why Novo guitars are so popular all of a sudden. As I mentioned in the intro, they are flying off our shelves and they sell faster than anything else we get in stock. In today's episode, we're going to be putting this Novo guitars through its paces to see if it really is as good as they say. We'll be rating this Novo on 3 aspects. Number 1, aesthetics, where we judge the look of the guitar. Number 2, playability and tone. This will also include a gig test where I stand up, get the guitar, rock out, and put the guitar on a very high volume. And then number 3, we'll be rating its value and resale value. Today is going to be a very fun episode, so without further ado, let's get straight into the aesthetics part of this test. So, let's crack open the case and see what we get inside. Ooh. So I have to say, Novo guitars really are producing some of the most beautiful looking guitars. Although I'm not a massive fan of this kind of pink heather sparkle, I love how most of the Novo models look. So let's have a look at what we get in the case. So of course we get this beautiful Novo guitars case. It's a G&G case with a purple interior. We get a little bit of information about the mastery bridge and the spec sheet. We have the tremolo arm for the guitar and we have some assorted tools. And finally we have some more information about the mastery bridge. So let's pull out the guitar and talk about the specs. So what I love about all Novo guitars is that they use tempered materials all over their guitar, so it makes them nice and lightweight and very stable. If you don't know what tempered means, basically it's just another word for roasted, so they take all the oxygen out of the wood. On the body here we have tempered pine, which is very naturally lightweight. We've obviously got this offset Saris J shape. It sits on my lap so nicely, really like that, and then we have this very in-your-face kind of sparkle color over the top. What is great about this sparkle is that it's very thin. You can actually see the grain of the wood through it, so that's awesome obviously for resonance. It's not a massive metallic finish that's going to encapsulate your guitar and make it not resonate, which is awesome. Then we have a roasted or tempered maple neck. This has got a really nice kind of sanded down area here on the neck, and it's very nice to look at. We then have East Indian rosewood for the fretboard with white binding. It actually has fret nibs, which is really cool to see for the Gibson fans out there, and then we have some beautiful mother of pearl inlays. And then finally for our pickup set, these are gold foils. We have McNelly Stagger Swagger is what they're called on the neck and the bridge. They've got that kind of gold foil look.
Now it's time to do the daylight test so we can see what this Novo guitar looks like under sunlight. So under daylight, this definitely looks more pink than burgundy in my opinion. In terms of the aesthetics of this guitar, like the colours, I'm not too big of a fan of. I'm not a big fan of gold on guitars, just full stop. And when you put that with the pink, it's a bit in your face. But I do love the aesthetic choice of this guitar. I love the vintage inlays, the vintage headstock. It looks really cool as a guitar. I'm just not a big fan of the colour.
So now that we've done the spec test and we've done the daylight test, let's talk about the score I'm going to give it for aesthetics.
The Novo Saris J gets a 5.5 out of 10 for aesthetics. Let's move on.
So guitarists, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for the tone and playability test. In today's episode, I'm plugged into my Bloomfield Drive, the 2-Rock. Very nice amplifier, obviously I use that in all these videos. In this test, we're going to be talking about the playability and the tone, two of the most important elements when selecting a guitar. Firstly, let's hear each of the pickups clean. So this is the neck pickup. Of course, we've got gold foil pickups in this one, so it has a really nice clean and nuanced sound. On the neck pickup, it's nice and chimey, really like it. I would personally like a little bit more output. Usually this tone that I set would have a bit of a crunchy tone, a bit of edge of breakup, but it's quite clean on this sound. But that's obviously no fault of the guitar, it's just the way that it's been designed. Now let's hear the middle position. We should hear a bit more twang here. really like that tone. It's got a really nice kind of twang to it, a little bit more of a kind of telly sound in comparison to the neck pickup, but it gives great variety. Now let's hear the bridge pickup and see what that sounds like. So there you're getting a very classic 50s sound, really like the controlled high end of that bridge pickup. It's got a really nice mid-range. You could easily get them Rolling Stones Beatles tones, but as you dress the tone up with lots of reverb and delay, you could easily get a nice neo-soul tone. This is why I love Novo guitars, is because the tones that they create are very vintage, but the way they feel is very modern. Obviously the visuals are also very vintage, so it's a very good guitar for me, and I really enjoy reviewing Novos. But that is all the clean tones, so now let's push the amp with a tube screamer and see how that sounds. So this is the bridge pickup. Really dynamic. If I push hard, you get that kind of AC/DC quality, but as you pull back, really enjoying that on that bridge pickup. Lovely tones. Let's hear the same tone but on the neck pickup now. Doesn't have a lot of gain. Usually, as I mentioned previously, this tube screamer would get me into a fairly distorted tone on some normal humbuckers, but this is still very clean. It would be great for like a finger style or like a Matteo Sato kind of arrangement. So such a sensational tone. What I have to say though, my only criticism is that there's not a lot of gain in this guitar. So if you're looking for a shredder or something that's like a bit more distorted, definitely don't go for this guitar. This is a fingerstyle guitar or more of an indie style guitar. Obviously it's got gold foils and that's what it's meant to be. So just before we finish the tone demonstration and go into the gig test, I just wanted to demonstrate to you what I think this guitar is perfect for, which is indie. And this is my own arrangement of the classic by the Smiths. This is There Is a Light That Never Goes Out. Let's hear it. I've added a chorus pedal. So just before we get into the gig test, let's talk a little bit about the playability and ergonomics of this guitar. So in my opinion, Novo are releasing some of the most comfy guitars to play, and that's mainly down to the body material that they use. They always use pine or roasted pine, and it's very light indeed. It feels like this guitar is definitely under 8 pounds, even with all the hardware on. It looks so cool, and the offset body sits really nicely on my lap. The neck is so nice to play. This is their slightly thicker neck profile, which I much prefer, but it's all kind of sanded back, so it's so easy to play. The frets are done to absolute perfection. They've been rolled over very nicely, and obviously got the kind of binding over them. So tuning was great. intonation was spot on. I didn't really have any problems in terms of playability. In terms of the pickup tone, I do like these pickups, but they wouldn't be my first choice. Gold foils have a very unique tone, definitely more catered to indie music and cleaner styles. For me, they're a little bit too clean and have quite a weird mid-range. But that being said, it did inspire me to play differently, but it's definitely not a heavy rock guitar, and that's not what this guitar is meant to be. More of a neo-soul, jazz machine, maybe a little bit of blues, but even then it's lacking a little bit of the kind of gain you'd need for blues. But now we're going to ultimately put it through its paces in the gig test. This is where I put a strap on the guitar, I turn up the 2-Rock Bloomfield drive, and we see how it would sound in a gig environment. So guitarists, now it's time for the gig test, my favorite part of these videos. If you're not familiar with this test, basically I put the strap on and play, as if I'm playing live, and I put the 2-Rock Bloomfield drive on such a loud volume. So this gives you a little bit of insight of how this guitar sounds in a live environment. Okay, so let's turn on the amplifier and see how much hum we're getting. That's pretty good. Got a heavy distortion pedal on as well. Let's see how the feedback is.
This Novo Ceres J scores an 8.5 out of 10 for playability and tone.
So now we need to talk about aspect number 3, which is the value test. We're going to talk about whether this guitar is good value or not. So we're going to be selling this guitar for around £4,000. Obviously that's very expensive for a guitar in general, but what you get with a Novo is very specialist. Obviously it's a custom built guitar, mostly handmade, it has tempered materials, the highest end hardware and pickups, and obviously we've got the really cool moto blocks and the binding on this example. So in terms of just looking at the guitar in terms of value, I think that's a great value for a very high-end professional instrument. That being said though, the problem that you get with Novo guitars and a lot of boutique builders is that they have next to no resale value, especially in the American market. In America, if you went on Reverb, you see a lot of them sit around $2,900 to about $3,500. That's mainly because they're quite common in America. Obviously, they're made in Nashville, Tennessee, and therefore when they're sold, there's more models, and that means the demand gets lower. However, here in the UK, they're still very rare. The only official dealer is Peach Guitars, and they kind of have the monopoly in the market. They sell Novo guitars from anywhere from £4,399 all the way up to £6,000. So in my opinion, in the UK market, Novo are actually a very good investment. I think if you bought this guitar, you wouldn't lose out too much at the price that we sell it at. Obviously, even at Peach Guitars, I think if you get a really cool custom shop one, I don't see why you couldn't make your money back on that one. If we take resale value and kind of investment opportunity aside, this guitar is incredibly good value for the money. At the £4,000 bracket, is one of the best guitars you can buy at that price point. The frets are perfect, the wood's high end, it's got a unique look, establishing their niche with their product. I love Novo. Although I'm not a massive fan of how this one looks, the playability and the tones were sublime, and I can't wait to play more that they have to offer. So therefore, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for value, which I think is a very nice result for this guitar. But that's the value test, so I guess we better go to the outro of the video and total up the results. So guys, it's the end of another Squealing Pig Guitars video. It's time to total up the scores for this Novo guitar. But before we do that, if you're new to Squealing Pig Guitars, make sure to hit that subscribe button. YouTube tells us that 77% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you are one of the 77% that aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel, come on, join the Squealing Pig Guitars crew. We do demos every single day, demoing the best guitars in the industry. And our main mission is to find the best, so make sure to hit subscribe to not miss out on future uploads.
In conclusion, the reason why Novo guitars sell so quickly and are so popular, in my opinion, is because they seamlessly blend the vintage and modern markets. The playability is modern, the frets are perfect, every single inch of this guitar has been made with love and care, yet they blend that with the vintage looks and the vintage tones. From my experience, I've never played a bad Novo. They've always played amazingly and sounded very unique. But don't take my word for it, let's hear from a few of our customers here at Squealing Pig Guitars. Pause the video here if you'd like to read out Alan's review. So let's total up them scores. So for aesthetic, I gave it a 5.5 out of 10.
Personally though, I'm not a massive fan about how this particular Novo looks. It's a little bit too sparkly for me, and I'm not a fan of the gold foil and gold pickguard. However, the playability and tone was sublime. It's a very lightweight guitar, it fits very nicely on my body, and the gold foil sounded great for clean and kind of slightly crunchy tones. However, I don't think it sounded that good distortion, if I'm being honest. In the gig test, it sounded cool when I really pushed it, but it's not naturally a heavy distortion tone guitar, and you can tell that because it's quite flubby in the low end. However, it does what it's made to do very well, which is clean and blues playing. So if you're more of a cleaner player, this might be one for you. That's why I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 for playability and tone, because it is an incredibly well-made instrument. It's just it doesn't do all the parameters I would want in a guitar. And of course, for value, I gave it a 7 out of 10. These guitars come in a little bit lower than most custom shop guitars, but obviously it won't have the resale value that you'll get with Fender or Gibson. So when we put all them scores together, our ultimate score for this Novo Ceres J is 7 out of 10. So let's see where it places on the squeal board.
And that means it places at number 7 on our squeal board leaderboard.
The Squeal board is our leaderboard for all the reviews that we do on this channel. If you'd like to go and check out the Squeal board, hit the link in the description down below. But as always guys, let me know down below, do you agree with my comments or not? Whether you agree or disagree, let your voice be heard in the comment section below. I love chatting to you guys down there. And if you own a Novo guitar model, let me know down below. But that is the end of the video guys. As always, this has been Squealing Pig Guitars, I'm Ben Keightley, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. But until then, keep rocking guys, I'll see you soon.
Yeah.